You ran out of Christmas gifts. For me? Please." That's what I said when my aunt blinked at me across the shiny dining table. She placed the empty bag down and swallowed hard. The rest of the family froze. My words hung in the air like snowflakes caught in a storm, sharp, cold, impossible to ignore. And then I added, "Can you tell me why I'm the one who got nothing?" I was 8, smart enough to understand disappointment, but young enough to think it was a mistake. Christmas morning, I'd woken at 5 a.m., heart pounding so much it rumbled through the house. I ran downstairs in my pajamas. The living room looked like a scene from a movie. Tree sparkling, stockings hung, laughter buzzing everywhere. Except on my side. My cousins tore into gifts, toys, books, gadgets that made noise. Even the baby got a present. But my place, on the couch beside my brother, sat empty except for a wrinkled card that had fallen between the cushions. I unfolded it, in childish cursive, to my sweet nephew, and then printed, "Sorry we ran out of Christmas this year." That was it. I'd be lying if I said tears didn't come. But what hurt more was confusion. Why me? Why did it matter? My aunt, my mother's sister, was known for her rules. No porch visits after dark, no sweets before dinner, no hand-me-downs, unless you've earned them. She'd spent the last 5 Christmases pointing out how I wasn't like the other kids, how I cried too much, how I asked too many questions, how I still needed training wheels at 10. That morning, anger replaced tears. I looked at her, eyes bright. "Why not Daddy or Emma?" I jerked a thumb at my little cousin. "You gave them 4 gifts each." Silence. My mom cleared her throat. "Let it go, honey." But I couldn't. Aunt's face twisted. She said, "We thought you had enough. Maybe next year." Her tone was dismissive, casual cruelty, like slipping in salt at dinner. I looked at my wrapping paper floor, glittering red and green, felt my skin prickle. Because I'd worked hard. The last summer, I'd saved every cent, mowed lawns, dog-walked, babysat, and I'd given her a handcrafted ornament for Christmas, something from my heart. She'd smiled and said, "Very nice." That was it. There were no hunts for my presents, no whispered, "This is from your favorite aunt." Nothing. Christmas breakfast was quiet. My brother chattered about his new remote control car. He offered me a bite of his chocolate bar, but I shrugged. I was still standing in my pajamas, still feeling seen, but unseen. When my mom noticed, she took my hand. "Let's go for a drive," she whispered. I nodded. We left the house, a bubble of cold air in every breath. We drove past snowy fields, yellowing streetlights, no Christmas traffic at 7 a.m. Just us. My mom asked how I felt. Still, the drive calmed me. I felt her hand on my knee. I felt her breathing, real and steady. I felt maybe things weren't as perfect as they seemed in that big family room. By the time we returned, the house had quietened. Cousins were running through halls. My aunt was setting cocoa. She looked at me. I looked back. I didn't say anything. I just walked inside, joined the group, pulled a mug, sipped slowly. Inside, laughter. I forced smiles. But inside, the hurt stayed. Over that day, I kept thinking back to that card. "Sorry, we ran out." Like it was a fact, a rule. This wasn't a fleeting sadness. It was a label, me, the kid who didn't get gifts. And later that afternoon, after dinner, she pulled me aside. "Look, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. It's a long season and budgets." She trailed off. I didn't believe her, but I did believe in me. That night, I lay awake by Christmas lights. My gifts, my brother's toys, were stacked by the tree. I stared at them, thought about what kindness meant, and what it didn't. I fell asleep thinking, tomorrow I'll do something that shows her I matter. The next morning, I didn't expect anything. I didn't expect an apology. I didn't expect a wrapped box. And I definitely didn't expect my aunt to acknowledge me. I woke up on the couch with the throw blanket halfway to the floor. My neck hurt. My legs were sore. The tree lights were still blinking, mocking in their perfection. The house was still buzzing with joy that wasn't meant for me. I tiptoed to the kitchen. No one was there. Just the sound of bacon frying, faint music humming from someone's Bluetooth speaker in another room. I pulled out the cereal box, poured a bowl, and sat quietly at the table. No one noticed. Or maybe they did, and looked the other way. That's when my cousin Emma came in. She was younger than me by 2 years. Always sweet, always quiet. She climbed onto the stool beside me with her new pink camera swinging from her neck. She looked at me, then at my empty spot on the table. She reached into her little side pouch and pulled something out. It was a folded sheet of notebook paper. Sloppy red crayon scrawled across it. It said, "To you. Sorry you got no present. You can take pictures with me today if you want." I stared at it. My throat clenched. She said nothing, just slid it over, grabbed a spoon, and started eating cereal like it was the most normal thing in the world. That one gesture, it nearly broke me, because a child saw what the adults refused to admit. I nodded slowly. "Thanks," I whispered. She grinned, mouth full of Cheerios. "I'll let you take one of the dog later." That afternoon, I sat on the back porch. I had Emma's camera in my lap. I took pictures of the snow-draped pine trees, the neighbor's dog, a red bird hopping along the fence. That's when I heard them, my mom and my aunt, inside the kitchen. The door was cracked. I don't think they knew I was there. "I feel terrible," my mom said. He was crushed. I could see it all over his face. "He's a kid," my aunt replied flatly. "He'll forget. They always do." "He doesn't forget. He holds things. He's not like the others." That's when I realized. My mom knew. She saw it. And she'd said nothing. Not yesterday. Not during the party. Not even during the drive. She'd held my hand and told me she was sorry. But not to them. She didn't protect me. Not really. The silence of adults cuts sharper than any insult. I clenched my fists and walked away. Not fast. Just enough to leave without hearing another word. That evening, after the guests had gone home and the tree looked tired from smiling too hard, my aunt approached me. She held a small box, wrapped, sloppily. Clearly a last-minute job. Scotch tape barely holding the corners. "I found this," she said. "Thought you might like it." No apology, just an offering, an attempt to clean the mess without sweeping the floor. I opened it. A plastic snow globe. Inside, a cabin. No moving parts, no glitter, just hollow glass and silence. I looked up. She waited for me to thank her. I didn't. Instead, I held it gently and said, "Did you find it in a drawer?" Her mouth tightened. "What do you mean?" "I mean, did you buy this for someone else?" Her face flickered. "That's not important." I nodded. "It is to me." Then I handed it back. "I'd rather remember this Christmas for what it was." She stared at me. For a moment, I thought she'd yell, scold me, tell me I was being dramatic. But she didn't. She walked away. And I stood there, empty-handed, but not powerless. Later that night, my mom came into the guest room while I was folding my clothes into my suitcase. She sat on the bed, quiet. "I heard what you said to her." "Yeah?" I zipped the suitcase. She sighed. "You didn't have to embarrass her." "I didn't," I said. "She did that herself. She's always been hard to please, you know that. And I've always been easy to ignore, you know that." Her face fell. "I protected you." "No, you didn't," I said. "You watched it happen. You said sorry when it was just the two of us. But in that room, with her, with everyone, you said nothing." She wiped her eyes. "I didn't know how." "You just say, 'My son matters. Treat him that way.' That's how." We sat in silence, the kind that echoes. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I know," I said. "But next time, do better. Don't just be sorry. Be brave." She nodded slowly. That girl, she saved Christmas for me. Not with gifts, not with glitter, but with kindness. The kind my aunt forgot how to show. I never got a real apology from my aunt, But I did get something else. Distance. From then on, I stopped trying to win her over. I stopped pretending her sharp words were jokes. I stopped bringing gifts I knew she'd roll her eyes at. I focused on the ones who showed up. Emma. My mom, eventually. My brother, who tackled me at the door and handed me his remote control and said, "You get to drive it first." People who didn't forget me. People who saw me, even when others didn't. And me? I didn't forget. I didn't forget that little boy staring at an empty spot under the tree. I didn't forget the card that said, "We ran out." And I definitely didn't forget how it felt to stand in a room full of people celebrating while I quietly disappeared. So now, I keep a rule. One I live by. When I give with love. And when I get, I make sure no kid goes home feeling invisible. Ever again. Years passed. I grew up, got taller, learned how to keep my voice steady even when my heart felt shaky, learned how to stand in rooms where I wasn't wanted and walk out of them with my head high. But I never forgot that Christmas. I never forgot how the lights blinked for everyone else, how the music played for someone else, how the laughter echoed through walls I wasn't allowed to be part of. And I never forgot how silence speaks louder than anything when it comes from the people who should have made you feel safe. I don't hate my aunt, but I don't admire her either. The woman who taught me that it's not the size of the gift that hurts, but the size of the message it sends when you give nothing at all. That year shaped the way I saw people. I became more observant, quieter, not shy, just cautious. I stopped expecting things from people who had already shown me what I meant to them. My mother tried, in her own way, to repair what was broken. After that Christmas, she started speaking up more. Not loudly, but with intent. She defended me a few times when my aunt made her usual barbed comments, called her out, shifted the energy. It was awkward, uncomfortable, but it meant the world to me. Because silence may protect the moment, but it shatters the soul of the person you're trying to keep quiet. We stopped going to my aunt's house after that. The following year, Mom hosted Christmas at our home, and for the first time, everyone had a gift under the tree. Even the new neighbors we'd only known a week. She asked me to help with wrapping. I said yes. I made sure every tag had a name, every corner taped down neatly, every bow placed carefully. Even the cheap ones, dollar store puzzles, hand-knit mittens, off-brand action figures, were wrapped like treasures, because that's what they were. I knew what it felt like to be skipped, to be left out, to pretend it didn't hurt, and I refused to let anyone else feel that again under my roof, especially not a child. Emma and I stayed close. She's still one of the kindest people I know. She sent me a message years later, after she turned 18. Said, "You always made me feel safe. Like if something was wrong, you'd notice. That's why I knew what happened that year wasn't okay." I told her she saved me. She didn't believe it. But she did. Because sometimes a crayon-written note on notebook paper means more than any Hallmark apology. It means someone saw you when you were invisible. A few Christmases ago, I saw my aunt again. It was at a family wedding. She hugged me like nothing had ever happened. "Still tall," she said. "Still dramatic?" I smiled and said, "Only when ignored." She laughed, but I didn't. And something shifted. Not tension, not confrontation, just truth, sitting between us like a weight she didn't want to acknowledge. She changed the subject quickly, and I let her, because some people don't apologize. Some people don't understand the damage they cause, and some people do, and just don't care. But I do, and I always will. Last year, I volunteered at a shelter during the holidays. A boy, probably around the age I was back then, came up to me, clutching a toy that had clearly been used and reboxed. He looked up and said, "Is this really for me?" I said, "Yeah, it's yours." He hugged it like it was gold, and I swear, for a second, I saw a flash of who I was in him, a flicker of that hollow feeling turning full again, and I knew, without question, that I'd found something bigger than revenge, bigger than a comeback. I'd found a mission, to make sure no one feels like a leftover on a day that's supposed to be about joy. So here I am, telling you this story not for pity, not even for justice, but so that you remember something important. The people who forget you, the ones who leave your name off the list, who say, "We ran out," who laugh while you sit with empty hands, they don't define your worth. You do. Every act of kindness you give, every word you speak up for, every time you choose to be better than what was handed to you, that's who you are. That's what matters. And that's the kind of person I became, the day she said she ran out. Because I didn't. I never will. Subscribe for more dark, faceless storytelling. Have you ever had someone you love make you feel like you didn't matter on the one day that was supposed to remind you that you did?